Hello, this is part 3 of my videos concerning how to identify spirits, or I will keep on reading item 267 of the Medium's book. And this item, you have some clues to help you to identify how to know for sure if a spirit can be considered, if a communication by a spirit can be considered valid or not, or if the spirit that is claimed to be any character or any important person can be taken seriously. This book, Medium's book, is a book by Allan Kardec, which I strongly again suggest you to read and try so you can understand a little bit more about the subject of communication with spirits. What are the dangers, what are the benefits, what is the purpose of mediumship. So I will go on by reading item 16. Good spirits may also be recognized by their prudent reserve in regard to all that could compromise individuals. To unveil evil is repugnant to them, while foolish and malicious spirits delight in bringing it into view. While good spirits endeavor to extenuate and exhort to indulgence, evil ones exaggerate, balance, and excite. I will read it again. While good spirits endeavor to extenuate and exhort to indulgence, evil ones exaggerate, blame, and excite discord by perfidious insinuations. One of the reasons why it's necessary, or it is important, that we learn more about spirits, about recognizing spirits, is because by doing so we would be following Jesus' advice when he says that it's important that we do not trust each and every spirit, but that we firstly try to know if the spirit comes from God, if this is a good or a bad spirit communicating with us, right? So if you go to the gospel, we'll find something about this when Jesus tells us to be careful about the spirits. He doesn't forbid us to communicate with spirits, but he asks us to be very careful and to make sure that we are not opening doors to inferior or spirits that do not come from God. Item 17. Good spirits only prescribe what is good. No counsel which is not in strict conformity with the purest evangelical charity can proceed from them. That means that superior spirits always follow evangelical and charity suggestions. Good spirits always act according to a Christian background, to a Christian basis. They do not go against what Jesus said. They do not act or suggest or try to make people act against God's laws. On the contrary, good spirits are always trying to make you feel and reflect a little bit more about the words of Jesus, about the meaning of Jesus' words concerning our behavior in this world, so we can conquer a better place in the afterlife. Item 18. Good spirits never make statements that are not in perfect accordance with reason. Every suggestion which is opposed to common sense or to the laws of nature betrays the inferiority of its origin, and it is consequently not to be trusted. Item 19. The spirits who are evil or merely imperfect betray themselves also by physical indications which cannot be mistaken. Their action on the medium is sometimes violent, producing in him a feverish or convulsive agitation, or causing him to make abrupt or jerking motions, resulting with which results which offer a marked contrast to the calmness and gentleness produced by the action of good spirits. So what it's being explained here is that good spirits would never violate the medium, would never expose the medium to difficult situations, to situations where the medium can be in a foolish position or in a dangerous position or in a ridiculous position. Good spirits always respect the medium in all circumstances, not only the person but the physical of the medium. Item 20. Imperfect spirits frequently take advantage of the means of communication at their disposal for giving perfidious counsels, excite distrust and animosity against those whom they dislike, and direct their animadversions especially against those who are able to detect their inferiority. That means that, for instance, if you realize that a medium or a spirit, or a medium and a spirit are not telling the truth, and you try to expose them, this medium or mainly the spirit will try to go against you. They will try to get rid of you because inferior spirits don't want to be exposed. That's what is being explained here. I will go on reading item 20. They seek out the weak in order to lead them astray, employing by turns sophistry, sarcasm, abuse, and even physical violence as proof of their occult power. They do their utmost to turn them from the path of truth. That's just what I said. Inferior spirits would do everything not to be exposed. Item 21. The spirits of men who have busied themselves with one single idea or pursuit during their earthly life often remain for long periods under the sway of their terrestrial ideas, and retain many of the prejudices, predilections, and even manias of their earthly life, a fact easily seen in their manifestations. What it means? It means that if I am an inferior spirit and I died, and while I was alive, I like to always tell jokes, I like always to make funny noises, I like always to curse. When I die and I try to communicate, I will keep this kind of behavior. I will always, as a spirit in my communications, you will find jokes, you will find cursing, you will find any other communications or personal characteristics. So this fixation in material materials behaviors, immaterial ideas, is a characteristic of inferior spirits. So, for instance, if in my earthly life I am a person that is only focused on making money, only focused on working, only focused on sports, only focused on sex. If I die and I try to communicate and I'm an inferior spirit, all these features will be shown in my communications. If I had fixed ideas about sex, I will always bring this subject to my communications. If I'm fixed and working, I will always bring working and job matters to my communications. So that's one of the characteristics of inferior spirits. That's what's being explained here. Item 22. The knowledge of which some spirits ostentatiously boast is no proof of their real superiority. The unvarying purity of their moral sentiment is the only proof of their elevation. Let's go to item 23. There's not much more, right? Just ask you to be patient. Item 23. We cannot arrive at truth simply by questioning a spirit. In the first place, we must know to whom we are addressing our questions, for inferior spirits, no matter how ignorant they may be, are often quick to reply even in regard to the most serious subjects, in spite of their ignorance. Moreover, even if the spirit who replies was learned in earthly science while in the corporeal life, it does not follow that he is possessed of high scientific knowledge in the world of spirits. It is only through moral purity that a spirit draws near to God, and thus extends the circle of his knowledge. That's something I guess I have commented before, that spirits can reply anything. Inferior spirits reply any question. They don't care if the question has an elevated moral, if it's a question that can be used or that can be used or can be good for all humanity. They reply personal questions, questions about the future, questions about sun, questions about God. They talk about Jesus, they talk about Jesus' life, they talk about their lives, they talk about your lives, they talk about diseases, cure for diseases, even though they did not possess the knowledge of all these matters, of all these circumstances. So, as we have seen in some items before, good spirits only reply what they know. If they do not know anything, they will tell you that they don't know about this or that subject. On the contrary, inferior spirits will always have a reply to your questions. Item 24. The pleasantry of superior spirits is often subtle to keen, hurt never undignified. I will read it again. The pleasantry of superior spirits is often subtle and keen, hurt but never unsignified. I guess there is a mistyped word here. The satire of spirits of lower degree, who without being rude are sometimes fond of bantering, if often both sharp and perfectly to the point. Item 25. By a careful study of the characteristics of the spirits who present themselves, especially as regards their sorry, I will read it again. By a careful study of the characteristics of the spirits who present themselves, especially as regards their morality, we ascertain their nature and the degree of confidence we may safely place in them. People who habitually make use of their common sense are rarely deceived in regard to spirits as in regard to men. Item 26, that is the last clue or the last uh, checkpoint we can have to identify spirits. In order to judge spirits, as in order to judge of man, we must have learned to judge ourselves. Many persons take their own personal opinions as the sole standard of right and wrong, of truth and falsehood, and condemn whatever contradicts their way of looking at things, their ideas, and the theories they have invented or adopted. Such persons are evidently deficient in their rectitude of judgment, which is the first condition of a sound appreciation of any subject. But they are not aware of their deficiency, this defect being the one in regard to which illusion is the most frequent and tenacious. The foregoing directions, before going ahead, this is a very important issue, because we are always prepared not to admit that we are wrong. We try to make our positions about things, we try to make them correct, even if they are not correct. Right, so this is a very important thing that we must pay attention. Firstly, before trying to judge or to try to analyze spirits, we must know if we are capable of admitting that a communication is false. I'm telling this because sometimes we receive communications that are supposed to be from our parents, from our relatives, from our beloved ones. And we always tend to think that the people we love are in good conditions, that they are good spirits. But the truth is that just because we love them, just because they are dead, it doesn't mean that they fulfill all the requirements to be considered a good spirit or a superior spirit. Let me put it this way. They can be a very good person, but they do not match all the qualifications to be a superior spirit. And very often they can be considered from the spiritual point of view as an inferior spirit. So that's why this item is very important. We must keep an open mind to realize if the communications that are from our relatives, if our relatives, if our beloved ones communicating are in a position of a good or of a bad or an inferior spirit. That's important because if we can recognize indications that our beloved ones are not in a good position, are not a superior spirit, we can pray to them. We can pray to them so they can get the necessary help from superior spirits, so they can be taken to places in the spiritual world when they can learn more about life, so they accept sometimes that they are dead, so they can accept sometimes that the material life must remain with people that are living in material world, and that they have a different kind of life, a better life to follow and to live in the spiritual world. That is one of the consequences of this lack of knowledge, this lack of viewing life from this point of view is one of the differences between superior and inferior spirits. Superior spirits are only interested in a spiritual life and improving in their spiritual life, and inferior spirits are always concerned or focused on the material life, even though they do not belong to the material world anymore. Continuing or concluding item 26, the foregoing directions are derived from experience and from spirit teachings. We will complete them by giving the answers of spirits to questions addressed to them by us in reference to the most important points previously touched upon. So this last paragraph is a comment by Allan Kardec concerning the questions of communications, and as he says further on in this book, Medium's book, item 268, he goes on asking the spirits themselves about communications, and I will not read them. I just suggest you to go and to try to find this book in the internet and to try to read and to get to your own conclusions. I thank you very much for your patience. I'm sorry for my reading, but I was just first reading most of this text. I hope you have understood my explanations, but again, I suggest you to go to the source of the information that is Medium's book, and that you can find also other books by Allan Kardec explaining communication with spirits and explaining material life and explaining gospel and other things. God bless you, and I hope you have enjoyed these videos. Thank you very much.